keep me and my sons away from worshipping idols. And the one who made this prayer is who? This is the prayer of who? Ibrahim Mumtaz. Ibrahim al-Hanif. So basically what the Imam is teaching us right here in this ayah, or what he is how he is supporting his assertion that we have to be afraid of a shirk, is that Ibrahim al-Hanif, the one who is like the expert and the archetype or the perfect example of a person who practices the Tawheed, he prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or he shows that he is afraid of a shirk. Ibrahim is so afraid of it that he prays to Allah to protect him from it. And not just him, but also his offspring. So we see that we need to be afraid of a shirk from two angles. The first one is that it's Ibrahim. Ibrahim, who Allah refers to or describes as Al-Hanif, the perfect monotheist, the perfect example of a monotheist. If he's afraid, then people who are less than him should be more afraid. Also, the other reason why, or the other reason that we can see from this ayah that we should be afraid of a shirk, is that Ibrahim is our role model. He is our qudwa. If he's afraid, we're supposed to follow in his footsteps and also be afraid. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ثُمَّ أُوحِينَا إِلَيْكَ أَنْ أَتَّبِعْ مِلَّةِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا. And then we revealed to you, or we inspired you, O Muhammad, to follow the way of Abraham, the Hanif. And so basically, if Abraham was afraid and we follow his footsteps, we should also be what? We should also be afraid. He is the perfect example. If he's afraid, being afraid is the right thing to do. It's not something that we should feel that is beneath us or we're above. But ثم بعد ذلك, the Imam, he mentions the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said to his companions, أَخْوَفُ مَا أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمُ الشِّرْكُ الْأَصْغَرُ فَسُئِلَ عَنْهُ فَقَالَ الرِّيَاءُ. So the Prophet ﷺ was with a group of his companions, and he said, the thing that I fear for you the most, speaking to the companions, his own companions, the best of mankind, he told them, the thing that I fear for you the most is the shirk al-asghar, is the minor shirk. So then he was asked, and what is the minor shirk? And he said, ar-riya. He said it is ostentatiousness, right? Or ostentation, or being ostentatious, showing off. So obviously, if the Prophet ﷺ is afraid for the best of mankind and the people who are least likely to commit a shirk, that they will fall into it, if he's afraid for them, then what? For us to be afraid for ourselves is what? Is even more required, more necessary. Because if they themselves, as good as they were, the Prophet feared that they might fall into it, then it's more likely that we would do it. So we have to be even more afraid. Now, I want to close with one question, and that is, Ar-Riya. Why isn't it Shirk Akbar? The Prophet referred to it as a Shirk al-Asghar. Ar-Riya is basically when you worship Allah, but you worship Allah to do what? To impress or please or seek the praise of people. So the Prophet referred to it as a Shirk al-Asghar, and he didn't refer to it as a Shirk al-Akbar, major shirk, major idolatry. Why is that? Why do you think it's Asghar and not Akbar?
Because the people might not be thinking that they're trying to put the other person equal to Allah, but they still, the action is actually that's what it's.
Like, that's a good answer. Yunus, anybody else?
Kind of worshipping themselves.
Huh?
Kind of worshipping themselves.
Like, but if we say that kullu sarfun li-ibada li-ghayri Allahi shirkun akbar, if we say every time you offer an act of worship to somebody else, you're committing major shirk. And whether you're worshiping yourself, whether you're worshiping other people, whether you're worshiping an idol, you're guilty of a shirk akbar. So why is ar-riya shirk asghar and not akbar?
Because
you're not taking them as God.
Huh?
You're not taking them as God.
Ahsant. So when a person commits a riyah, they're not worshiping the people.
No.
They're worshiping who?
Allah.
Allah. The maqsood and ma'bood is Allah. The thing that they're worshiping is Allah. Like in a dafa', the thing that's motivating them, inspiring them is who? Is the people. Y'all see that? So it's not that they're worshiping something besides Allah or offering act of worship to an object other than Allah. Al-maqsood al-ma'bood is Allah in both cases. If you do it sincerely, bil-ikhlasi, or you do it bil-riyah, the al-maqsood al-ma'bood is Allah. But like in a dafa', the thing that inspired you and motivated you to do it is what? Is the people. That's why it's shirk asghar, because you're not worshiping something other than Allah, but the motivation. You see what I'm saying? Basically, there's a taswiyah in terms of what? The motivation. The motivation should be for Allah alone. When you worship Allah, you don't just worship Him, but you worship Him for His sake. Y'all see that? And to earn His praise and His admiration and His pleasure, not that of the people. And so that's what makes it shirk asghar, is the fact that you didn't worship something other than Allah. If you did that, it would be akbar. But if you're worshiping Allah, but you're doing it with what? You're doing it either with an ulterior motive or with a mixed motive. I want Allah's pleasure, but I also want the people's pleasure too. You guys see that? And that's what makes it shirk asghar. That's what makes it shirk. But it's asghar. Why? Because you haven't worshipped other than Allah or equated others with Allah. Right? But basically what it is like, I'm worshiping Allah, but I also want to get some admiration from the people. And that's what makes it a type of shirk, but less than what? Than the major shirk. That makes sense?
What about if you're not looking for admiration?
Huh?
Maybe you worship at home so that your children can see you, so that they can also worship.
But see, that dafa is mashru'a. Ahsan. That dafa is mashru'a. So that dafa, worshipping at home, that you set an example for your family, that particular inspiration is actually for Allah because it's been legislated by Allah. The Prophet ﷺ encourages not to make our buyut quburan, right? Don't make buyutukum quburan, meaning what? Pray some of your prayers at home, particularly your sunnah prayers. Why? So that your family will see you praying and you'll be setting an example for them. So that motivation or that inspiration is something that's actually legislated, and therefore it is actually ultimately for Allah, to please Allah. Like, and with that, brothers and sisters, or brothers, there's no sisters today. With that, brothers, we'll bring today's remarks to a close. Remain, inshallah. And, وجزاكم الله خيرا. هذا وصلى الله وسلم